the philosophies of Stoicism and Nihilism. Stoicism is the idea of taking pain and suffering and accepting the way life is without the showing of feelings, just kind of accepting it. And nihilism is the philosophy of things being meaningless. So, two of them together, it's like the nihilism is that life is meaningless, and the stoicism is accepting the good and the bad, accepting what comes up without being moved by it, without showing feeling towards it, accepting that pain and suffering is a part of life and carrying on with it. So when you take both philosophies, I'm not advocating to just get into this really depressed state and just give up on everything. Find meaning in the way that you need to find meaning to go do things, because I enjoy living, I enjoy life, I enjoy getting up and making sense of my day and what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to contribute, and any positive impact that I can make. And I do have curiosity for the meanings of things and why things are the way they are, why we think the things that we think, why we do the things that we do. I'm very curious about that. So these philosophies, though, are important to have to a degree, because certain things are just inevitable. So, like, for one, like the birth and the death, that is part of duality of life. And so you got to be in a solid place of that. And everyone gets there at different points. But you got to get to this point of understanding that that's just a part of life. This life that you have now is not forever. You are mortal, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way things are. You don't need to overreact to it. And if you're struggling with it, then you work on yourself and work on your inner peace and do what you need to do to eventually get into that state of just accepting it. Because if it's already a reality, you adding more negativity to it isn't going to do anything. You adding more woe is me is not going to do anything. So just accept it. Like, yeah, I'm going to die one day. It's not like a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just a thing. So be stoic with it. Just accept it for what it is. Or you were born to a certain circumstance. I wasn't born to millionaire parents. I grew up with a single mom, and I wasn't born to millionaire parents. So am I going to just like always go around in the streets like, oh, how come he has that? How come he's driving that car? How come I'm not doing that? No, I like who I am. Would not trade places with anyone. I want to be who I am. I'm stoic about it. I just I'm good in my element. I'm good in my zone. I'm good in my frame and what I want to do. And it's not like that other person, like, oh, well, like comparing circumstance, because you can't do that. You were born to the circumstance you were born in. So whatever pain and suffering you think you have to accept that to a certain degree, because you're just like, you're not going to be the guy who is born to just rich parents and has a trust fund. You were not born that, therefore that's not you. Therefore get over it and be stoic about it. Now when it comes to nihilism, the life is meaningless, don't take it to the extreme of just everything is meaningless, in terms of you're not going to get out of bed, you're not going to eat, you're not going to have any sort of social interaction. I mean, you got to get up and do things. You got to make some sense of the craziness, of the chaos. You got to find answers in whatever way you can, but don't overindulge in the how come this happened, or like, why is this person doing that, or like, how come this girl didn't like me, how come this girl rejected me. It's like, there's no meaning to it. I mean, she can reject you for whatever reason, like you don't have enough money, or you were born to a certain genetic combination that she just doesn't find attractive, and so that's just what you are, and you just move on to the next. And that's another one of those things that every guy gets there at a certain point in his life. Some get there sooner than others, but it's just like, you're not gonna just check every box that another guy checks. Like, you are not the other guy. So there has to be a sense of stoicism and nihilism, of just understanding that, like, if a girl like rejects you, there's no meaning to that. If she accepts you, there's no meaning to that. If you go through life and you don't get laid at all, there's no meaning to that. If you go through life and you have 1,000 women, there's no meaning to that. Whatever the spectrum is, it's not like, it's not a big deal at the end of the day. It's really not. I mean, you're attaching what meaning you think is meaning to whatever. So it's like, it's your subjective stance on it. It's relative. So it's like, don't get too caught up in that, the comparisons, the hierarchy. And obviously you're going to feel certain things in terms of just how you're going through life, because you got to eat food, you got to have somewhere to live. So yeah, you don't want to like be in poverty, you don't want to be struggling. There's a certain level of comfort you want and adequate security. So you're going to do the things you're going to do to obtain that in the way that you think you need to obtain that, but don't stress about the extra stuff. Like stuff too, like trying to grow a YouTube channel. It's like, how come this other channel is big and I'm not? It's like, doesn't matter. Good for that person, you know. Like, and if someone watches a certain video and they get inspired to do their own thing, good for them to pass the other guy up and learn and grow collectively. Like, or you see a homeless person one day and you're used to passing them on the street, like the local homeless person in your city or whatever. 10 years goes by and you haven't seen them, and then you come up on them one day and they got off the street, they started minimum wage job, and they worked up from there. Now they're like at a bigger job, better company, and maybe they're past you up in income, and they're in a bigger house, in a nicer car or whatever, girlfriend, whatever. And congratulations, that's just like what it is. It's like good for you. It's not like people get into that. It like the oh, I thought at this one point in time that was lower to me, like, so what does that say about me that I couldn't obtain that? It's just like, again, you're not being stoic, you're not being nihilistic, you're just you're feeling too much. And I don't want to say to cut emotions, because we're our emotional beings. You're going to have emotions on things. I'm just saying, understand your age, understand where you should be with certain realizations. Don't be pocket watching another man's money. Don't be watching what girls he gets. Don't, if you're gonna do those things, do it to learn. Do it to gain perspective. Don't be doing it as some sort of why are you and why am I me? Like just like learn about it. If like you want to make some more money, like a genuine question, like, oh, how did you start this business, or what inspired you to do that, or you want to learn something more about game or about women, and you see another guy that you think is something that you would want to be, or has an insight. Yeah, just like learn about it, but don't get into like your position, or like the benefit that you think they have versus the pain and suffering that you think you have, because it's all relative too. It's like that internet meme where it's like the person who's like crippled, they're looking out the window, and they're just like, oh, like I wish I could walk, and because they see someone walking, and then the person walking, he looks at someone on a bike, he's like, oh, I wish I could like afford a bike, I can't even afford that. And then the person on the bike is like, sees someone in a car, he's just like, well, I wish I had a car, like I have to take the bus when I go places. And then the person with the regular car is like, well, how come they have a Lambo? And then the person with the Lambo is like, well, how come like they're 6'5" and like a pro athlete, or like, and then like, you know what I mean? There's always just like the grass is greener. There's always like, I'm suffering, I'm going through pain, my life sucks, everyone else got a better deal. You can't do that. It's so relative, and you've got to get to a certain level of stoicism and nihilism to really be at your fullest potential, to get the most out of life that you can, because there's a lot of hard things to deal with, a lot of hard questions, a lot of tough things that will happen in life, good things too, good and bad, but like duality, you take one side with the other. So you can't take the 50% that's bad, or the pain and the suffering that you're attributing, and you can't just be that can't just be like your everyday mindset, your everyday mood. Just accept it. You gotta, like, yeah, this is what it is, and the other guy is not like, he doesn't have a better deal because of this one thing I'm perceiving. So it's good to have a little bit of both philosophies going through life.